It was a warm summer day, the weather wrapped around you like a thick blanket, making each breath feel slightly heavier. A few wispy clouds floated lazily in the sky, providing enough relief from the sun's intense rays to comfort the land below. At the heart of this picturesque scene was a stunning white two-story house, elegantly standing on a sprawling ranch. Its charm was undeniable, meticulously crafted. It would capture the attention of anyone fortunate enough to visit. The expansive porch embraced the house, inviting you to sit and unwind with a cold drink as you watched the sun rise over the lush green hills, each shade of color bursting with life. This ranch brimmed with possibilities, a vibrant tapestry of farm life that included majestic horses galloping across the fields, cows lazily grazing, and chickens clucking in their coops. John Kane owned such a farm, which was passed down to him by his father, who had died 10 years back. This house was more than a residence for John. It served as a sanctuary for his family. After his wife's passing, his mother supported him during a challenging time as he managed 3 young children and a farm. Over the years, the burdens lightened as his children grew older, especially his 19-year-old son, Blake. Blake's maturity and willingness to work transformed their farm operations, easing John's responsibilities. That afternoon, the farm buzzed with its usual rhythm. The sun hung high in the azure sky, casting warm light over the landscape. The 2 youngest children, a pair of spirited 12-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, chased one another along the dusty dirt road that wound its way home. Their laughter rang out like music, playful teasing echoing between them as they darted past rows of golden wheat, swaying gently in the warm air. Blake glanced up from where he stood, his brow glistening with sweat from the day's labor, momentarily pausing to catch his breath. "I hope y'all are done with your chores," he called out, wiping the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. He removed his brown cowboy hat, giving it a brisk shake to dislodge the dust that had settled on it, revealing tousled hair beneath. His chest heaved as he recovered from the hard work, the sounds of the farm providing a backdrop to his weary yet satisfied demeanor. "Yes!" Blake's sister exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement as she abruptly halted her sprint. The sudden stop caught her twin brother off guard, causing him to run straight into her back with a soft thud. "Ouch!" Mary gasped, turning to shove him playfully, a grin tugging at the corners of her mouth as she pushed him away. "Why did you stop?" Henry asked his twin. Mary glanced over at their older brother, who stood patiently, arms crossed, urging them to return to their tasks. "Let's get back to work," she said, motioning toward him as a reminder of their responsibilities. Blake shook his head, a charming smile playing on his lips. However, his mood shifted when he heard the distant sound of horses' hooves and the creaking of a wagon approaching the dirt road. Curiosity piqued. He turned to face the sound, sitting down the tool he had used to work on the fence. Blake's grandmother swung the front door open as she, too, heard the approaching wagon. Her familiar figure caused him to glance over. She cast a quick look at Blake, then turned her gaze toward the approaching horse and carriage, which was now drawing closer to their home. In the excitement of the arrival, the 2 twins burst out into a run, their voices ringing in the air as they shouted, "Father!" Their father had been away for several weeks, a duration not unusual for him as he often had business to attend to, making trades and negotiating with certain people. However, this time felt different. He was returning earlier than expected, which piqued the family's curiosity. As the carriage rumbled closer along the dusty road, the family caught sight of a woman seated beside John. The twins halted in their tracks, eyes wide and filled with wonder, their minds racing as they tried to make sense of who this stranger could be. Blake stood there, shielding his eyes from the blaring sun with one hand, waiting with a mixture of anticipation and confusion. His grandmother joined him at his side, her brow furrowed in curiosity, eager to discover who their father had brought back with him. The warm air was merciless, thick with intrigue as they watched the wagon come closer. John exclaimed in dismay as the horses came to a halt, with a sound that echoed their reluctance. The twins approached cautiously, drawn closer by the unfolding scene. Before them stood a striking woman with vibrant red hair meticulously arranged in an elaborate updo, secured with decorative pins. Wisps of soft, wavy curls cascaded down the side of her face while tiny strands escaped at the nape of her neck, softened by the sunlight. A charming hat adorned with a delicately tied ribbon perched gracefully atop her head. She wore a white lace blouse that hinted at vintage elegance, cinched at her small waist by a rich brown belt. Her dark blue skirt billowed gently down to her ankles, revealing only a glimpse of her polished brown boots, adding a hint of ruggedness to her refined appearance. As she turned slightly, her eyes, an enchanting shade of gray-green, sparkled in the sunlight, capturing the essence of the moment with their lively glint. Blake stood frozen in place, captivated by the sheer beauty before him. Her eyes sparkled with an elegance that seemed to draw him in, holding his gaze with an irresistible force. He had crossed paths with countless women during his trips to town with his father, who had always emphasized the importance of appreciating a woman's touch and presence. However, the woman in front of him was different, unique in a way that left him utterly mesmerized. Her grace was unmatched, and as he looked at her, he realized he had never encountered anyone quite like her. Blake knew he was witnessing something extraordinary. "Well, are you going to help her out?" John asked, gently lowering the reins of the horse in his hand. Hearing John's words, the woman cast her gaze down at Blake. A hesitant smile graced her lips, but it was evident that her heart wasn't fully in it. Despite the warmth of her expression, she seemed reluctant, as if the act of smiling had become a duty rather than a genuine reflection of her feelings. Feeling the weight of her gaze upon him, Blake took a deep breath and extended his hand toward her. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady yet soft. She placed her delicate hand into his, its warmth, a stark contrast to the roughness of his own grip. As she carefully descended, Blake's hand served as both a guide and support, its familiarity offering a sense of comfort. While making her way down, she stole a quick glance around, absorbing her surroundings. Her eyes widened slightly as they landed on the house, taking in its intricate details and the way it stood proudly against the backdrop of the landscape. Blake stood quietly, curiosity piqued as he watched her hesitation to step down from the carriage. A sense of amusement washed over him as he observed the awe in her eyes, reflecting her reaction to the grandeur of the house before her. As her boots finally made contact with the ground just inches away from him, he couldn't help but smile. "Everyone has the same reaction," he remarked, breaking the silence. Startled, she quickly glanced up, momentarily forgetting he was there. Her wide eyes met his as she realized how much he towered over her, his height giving him an imposing yet comforting presence. For a moment, she blushed as she locked eyes with him, his blue eyes standing out from his dark eyebrows. Despite having spent the day getting grimy and toiling away, Blake was quite pleasing to look at, making it difficult for most women to overlook his striking appearance. Lizzie cleared her throat, trying to shake her expression. "Yes, it's beautiful," she replied, as she quickly looked back at the house, her voice laced with admiration as she took in the impressive sight before them. Blake took a step back to let his grandmother come closer. John got out of the carriage, and while retrieving the bags from the rear, he introduced her to Blake and the grandmother. "This is Elizabeth Kane," he said to them. Blake was taken aback. "Kane?" He spoke out loud. "Yes, she is my wife," John replied.